You're in tune to the search engine. Legacy 90.1. Back for another week. And a big shout goes out to the one and only Tiny G, dancing DJ, Drive Time. I'll be back next week. Okay, it seems like for ages that we haven't been here. Online, we are online. You can get tuned in on Facebook and on YouTube. So that's Legacy 90.1 on Facebook and SEUK Global on YouTube, on Facebook. Oh, gosh, let me start again. You can get on Legacy 90.1 on Facebook and on YouTube, SEUK Global. And this is the Search Engine Meets T.A.P Talks this evening. But just before we start the show, let me tell you that you're going to get a bit of a double dose of me this week. I'll be on in the morning, tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. right here on Legacy in a different kind of format. It's a campaign or a interaction that Legacy involved in at the moment, 16-week series of programs looking at the issues of COVID and the impact on the Black community in and around Manchester, although I think where you go, there may be some areas that are specific to Manchester, but I'm sure around the country, most issues that are affecting the African Caribbean communities with regard to COVID and the inequalities happens right across the country. Anyway, I'm going to be doing a few shows on that series along with some of the other presenters on Legacy. So tune into that, get involved, share some of your information, knowledge, experiences that you've gone through with regard to COVID. What is it impact it's had on you, work-wise, family-wise, health-wise. I will have a guest on. My kind of like plan over the few shows is initially I want to discuss some of the standing inequalities, historical, so we can get an understanding of how it has actually widened considering what was taking place before. You are invited to take part in that discussion by way of text. So 9 a.m. to 11 tomorrow, right here on Legacy. That's the, I don't even know what the name is, if it's called Impact COVID Show or whatever, but it's called Let's Talk, get involved. And so hopefully I'll link with you tomorrow. And without further ado, let me say good evening to T.A.P team. Hi,
good evening.
How are you doing?
Evening, good to be back.
Yes, same, great to see you. Hello, Angeli.
Hi, Anthony, good evening.
Good.
You okay?
Okay. Do you want to give us an introduction of what the topics are going to be for this evening?
I think the first topic is we're going to talk about the Road to 50, so the Carnival celebration that's happening in September in Alec Park.
Yeah, so we're going to first talk about the Carnival, and then the
Otis, that's your expertise.
And then we're just gonna discuss about the plant-based movement amongst the Black African diaspora community.
Okay, just explain plant-based a bit, please.
So plant-based is basically vegan, but just a diet, whereas vegan is a whole lifestyle. So if you're a proper vegan, you won't wear leather and things like that. But if you're plant-based, then it's just about your diet.
Okay, then. All right, we've got like about 7 minutes before we go to a break here. So let's start with the Carnival. So there's an event taking place this weekend. Yes, the 4th.
Yep.
Yeah.
I haven't even got the flyer here next to it, because it's the Road to Carnival 50. So it's 50 years of Carnival, listeners, next year, 2022. 50 years. That's 50 of Carnival. And now we know Carnival means a lot to so many people. I mean, my main memories goes back to when I was young and going to Carnival. I mean, Alec Park seemed enormous at that time, but for the floats, to see the floats starting and going all around town, I remember, because I went to Royce Primary School, so I remember we used to get involved we had a float in the Carnival, the floats were, and it was absolutely enormous, the train in it. So it was a massive, real community event that more or less didn't start just a week before. It was like a whole kind of year thing, if in a sense. So yeah, so yeah, Carnival, I think, does mean a lot to me. But I'll be honest with you, that there's been many that I haven't attended. I believe at times it is not provided what I wanted to see, and I'll say a bit more about some of those things in the discussion. But I really live in hope, and given the fact that the organisers have put this out as the road to 2022, really gives time to make it an amazing event, and the time maybe to have discussions like this where community can get involved and maybe say, look, I'd like to see this, or I'd like to hear this, or I missed this. And yeah, so it'll be interesting to see going forward how this is presented for 2020. You know,
Did you hear that?
A little bit.
Was we supposed to hear it?
Yeah.
No. Okay. So that's my little bit about carnival and views. What's your view?
I would pretty much say the same as you. I have fond memories of going with family when I was younger. Of Alec Park, yeah, feeling like it's massive. We were walking forever. Just my dad always stopping and speaking to people, and it just felt like I was there for days and days and days. But yeah, always a nice feeling of celebration and laughter and family and community, and seeing people who look like me, and yeah, the costumes and the music and the dance and the food, all of those good things. I definitely have those memories of Carnival, and I would say that yeah, it's definitely changed in the past 5 to 10 years. It's not the same for many different reasons outside of our control as a community, and reasons in our control as a community, which I'm sure we will go into, and you know what I'm talking about. But ultimately, I'm glad to see that it's still continuing, because with everything that's happened over the past 2 years in particular, with the whole pandemic and such, you know, and then previous to that, war changes and boundary changes, and the way that the city, Manchester City Council politically have just been dealing with Carnival and people who want to celebrate it. For me, it's a positive thing to still see it going on, because it could have easily do a lot of the political pressure that's out there. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Otis?
Yeah, no, my memories of Carnival from when I was young is it just seemed that bright and colourful, and it was just a vibrant time of year. And because I went to crop over in Barbados when I was 7,
okay,
and each time we had Carnival here, it was just like reminding me of Barbados a bit, a little taste of what I experienced over there, and what they call snowballs, you know, with the ice and the syrup.
The syrup.
When they used to have them at Carnival, it just reminded me of Barbados and the floats. Yeah, it's just good vibes and good times. It don't feel like, yeah, we're missing that element of it, but hopefully, like with the new people who've took over, they can bring that vibe back, and you know, we can just let the younger ones have that experience as well.
So when you're talking about, what did you say, you were 8 when you went to Barbados?
7. One of the times. I've been quite a few times, about 13 or something.
And had you gone to the Carnival here before going to the Carnival in Barbados?
Yeah, I would have, but I can't remember like the Carnival here from.
But you remember the Carnival there?
Yeah, I remember the Carnival there, because it was just.
So when you came back here and then went to the Carnival here, was there anything that you felt was missing? Obviously, maybe the sunshine and the coconut water.
Yeah, there was just a lot. It was just a lot more soca driven over there, and there was more people in costumes and more. It was just more vibrant and more vibes over there, but it was still like nice over here. It was a nice little reminder of what I experienced over there. Obviously, it's not the same, but it was good enough, especially at them ages.
So, what would you say, kind of like, is your? I want to kind of like go into a bit of, you know, actually talking about when we come back what is carnival and what carnival's about. We are going to go for a break soon, but I will ask you during the break then, in a sense, what really is your thing, what you go there to see, or you just go there and, you know, whatever happens, you kind of like go with it, or is there something you are disappointed in?
Now I don't think I have much expectations. Although the first year back at Alexander Park, that carnival was popping. I remember like that was and the street party was going off after that as well. But before that, I think it was like pretty dead for years. But as I was young, I think what I was looking for was more just, you know, the floats and people dressing up and just dancing in the street. That was more like what drawn me to it, and then landing at the park and then just the vibe there, and the stage shows and stuff. But yeah, I feel like if we can get it back to how it was the first year we had it back at Alec Park, then I feel like everyone would be happy with it and be talking about it, because that was, yeah, it was going off.
Okay. All right, then, listeners, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. Remember, you can join us online. We are on Facebook, Legacy 9.1 Facebook, and SEUK Global on YouTube, and you can get involved. You can send in us your texts. You can send messages on the Facebook or YouTube. And the text line number 07599642626. Thank you. We'll be right back.
Feel the vibe on Legacy.
Angel.
2 seconds.
Oh.
All right, no problems. Hearing that, I mean, you said last year, I heard that you like the show afterwards and the.
No, I was saying the year after when the first year back at Alec Park. So you know when it moved to Plattfields and then it moved back to Alec Park. That year was that about 5 years ago? 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that year was memorable.
Yeah. I mean, I really do enjoy carnival, but like I say, for me, a big part, because I liked following the carnival, you know, going into town. You know, I'd carry me. I had my children with me. I had my drum, and following the flow of the camera. I've got some amazing pictures, I think, from the last time that we actually went through town, and I remember. You know, it was. I think I think there was only maybe about 2 trucks. I think that was in. There was enough people that did it, but there wasn't a lot of funding, and there was only truck. And again, like at so many times, the guy who supported that and with the truck was Blacker.
Okay,
Blacker had his truck going, and it was like having the 15 trucks. Yeah, people were just coming out of the shops in town. We were like dancing down the street. It was beautiful. So for me,
that was the first year Blacker came back as well, innit? When we went back to Alec Parks, I remember him saying that he'd not done carnival for like 10-15 years or something, and that was like the first year back for them.
Oh wow! It was yeah. I like that. It was a good, like, and that's what I think we've missed, and that's what's I don't know how that will go with well, I don't know on the COVID side of things, but that's a part that I would really like to see, and obviously that can only happen given people getting involved with it or involving other people. Like I said, I remember it used to be like schools would be getting involved and making their costumes. Again, 50 years is that what the theme is, that, or is there going to be a theme? Is that the theme? 50 years of carnival? Maybe there'll be a kind of like a journey through the 50 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I would hope so.
Legacy 90.1.
Okay, welcome back. I'm tuned to the Search Engine. This is the Search Engine meets T.A.P Talks. You're listening to me, Anthony Downer, and Otis and Angeli from T.A.P team, T.A.P Talks. You can find out what they're up to on www.tapproject.co.uk. Very busy team. Been here forever. So get in tune and get involved, see what they're up to. At the moment, we're talking about the up and coming Fun Day, which is taking place on Saturday. the 4th in
They're
Alexandria.
calling it a festival.
The festival. At Alexander Park. It's also known as the Road to Carnival 50 years of Carnival in Manchester, which will be taking place in 2022. So at the moment, we're just talking about Carnival, what it means to us, what our memories of Carnival is, what we would like to see at Carnival 2022. Got a text in. It says, "Is this a 2-day event or a 1-day this weekend?" It's just a 1 day. It's just on the 4th. But again, it's looking for next year, so to 2022. So I don't know. There may be people there with clipboards and papers asking you what you think of 2022 and what you would like to see going in there. In the sense of, do you know what I saw? Yeah, I can't remember if it was the last carnival. Yeah, which kind of disappointed me in a way. I felt there was a bit of a disrespect for the troops. Yeah, because normally the troops kind of take priority, and as they get to the park, they come to the park and they go into the park and then they go right into the arena, whereas a lot of them were waiting. Yeah, they were waiting, and they were just waiting. There weren't no place for them to go in and sit down. You know, they should be treated because they've done the work. Do you know what I mean? So they should be held in really high esteem. And I'm fine, and I'm happy with all the other, whatever tents you got, raga, whatever. But that is carnival, and I really do think the actual backbone of what carnival is about in some way and has been lost. Like I say, everything else should be able to go on, but the majority of people, or the most people who come and take and visit, should go away understanding what carnival's about, and it's not just a festival, and it's not just a fun day. There's a history to it, and I don't know if I've really seen that, but like I said, I'd like to see much more going into the respect of the troops and the floats in regard to the main stage. And there's somebody who I would love to see, and I'd put towards a GoFundMe page for this person to be there. I'm gonna say, let's see if you get it. I'm gonna say Ella Handel.
Okay.
Who did you think I was gonna say?
I thought you was gonna say Mr. Zip, but go on.
Ella
That's
Handel.
my memories of carnival.
Yeah. But still, again, Mr. Zip, same way. But do you know Ella Handel?
Don't know. I'm not particularly good with names. I'm better with faces. I'm a visual learner, me. So
she's
the name sounds familiar.
She's from Trinidad,
Mm-hmm.
but her voice is absolutely amazing, and the spirit. If we were online, I'd play her track because her tracks. Yeah, but if you just
send some links to us.
I will do. There's one that like that. The one that I would have played this evening. It's called. You probably, there's songs when you hear it you'd like you say, oh, I've heard that before. But there's one that she's a rhythm of the people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll send you one when she's in concert in Trinidad, and they have got all the costumes and the floats behind her, and she's dancing. I was just going to start singing her song then.
Have you been to the Trinidad Carnival?
I tell you, it's you feel her. Yeah, you might have heard a track that I've played sometimes called it's about the children. She's talking about the missing children, and children will, if the fact that we haven't taken care of the children in the right way, they're going to come back. Yeah. And but most of her tracks, they're chilling, that they make you tingle, but her whole performance, it would be absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely.
How do you spell Handel the traditional way?
Andal.
So
have you been to
Handel or Handel?
Have I been to Trinidad?
Yeah.
I've been to Trinidad, but not to
Carnival, I mean.
Not to the carnival, no.
Okay.
But,
Sorry, Angel.
Apparently, it is the one of the pinnacles.
Yeah, it is the pinnacle. It is the pinnacle in the Caribbean. That's where it started.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a history thing here, if you allow me. I caught a bit of it out. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. Caribbean carnivals are now celebrated around the world with huge celebrations in Canada, US, Notting Hill, in the United Kingdom. Although it is easy to become distracted by the incredible, colourful costumes, music, and dance, it is important to remember the history and cultural significance of these spectacular celebrations. Historians believe ancient Egyptians were the first to celebrate Carnival as a pagan festival, which was eventually adopted by the Greeks and Romans, incorporated into Roman Catholic Church. Carnival was celebrated in Italy before gaining traction in France and Spain. The word carnival has a Latin origin, caro being the Latin word for meat or flesh, and the veil meaning farewell. The interpretation is farewell to the flesh. The farewell to flesh is a reference to the practice in Catholicism to stop eating red meat during Lent from Ash Wednesday until Easter. In the late 18th century, European settlers, British nationals, and African slaves came to settle in Trinidad and Tobago. They brought them the annual lantern celebration, the masquerade balls, which encompass carnival traditions, each ethnic group. People from Africa were brought to the Caribbean as slaves. The Yoruba people were taken to Nigeria, and the last arrived on the island. Their strong culture dominated the Caribbean Africans, and they were able to practice their religion by pretending they were praying to Catholic saints. This allowed their culture to continue despite oppression. This new culture combined European practices with West African traditions. One of the new cultural traditions was the celebration of the Canbaile. The Canbaile was a nighttime parade of sorts which gathered slaves to put out sugarcane fires at nearby sugarcane plantations. Canbaile was the Creole word for burning cane. Along this march to put out fires, they would sing, dance, drums with drumsticks and light torches. The Canbaile drummers were Yoruba religious figures known as Shango or Rada, today known as Orisha. And Caribbean carnivals, as we know them today, really started to take shape in 1834 with the end of slavery. The Canbaile and the European Mardi Gras, masquerade, hold on. To this day, Trinidad has the most notorious carnival, and from the very beginning has celebrated with 4 elements: calypso, soca, steel pan music, and a masquerade ball. Let's go. You get the idea, yeah? So it does go on to say that it was, as I say, as a sign of freedom, and to show the struggle and the fight that Africans had gone through colonialism and all that.
Yeah, the way that I understand it to be was that it was celebration of freedom, but it was also a form of protest. So carnival is kind of like a form of protest, so far as that not only are they celebrating, you know, the freedom from slavery supposedly in 1834, but also they used to. So a lot of the costumes that they used to wear weren't just kind of like celebrating their, if you want to call it, traditional roots or their indigenous roots or cultures or traditions. A lot of the costumes that they wore used to kind of like take the mick out of the ex-slave masters. So there used to be a lot of exaggerated features and faces and characterizations within the costumes. Just it was kind of like a form of satire, just taking the mick out of their slave masters. So that was the protest, if that makes sense. So that's where you see some of the costumes can be really, really. It goes back to what you were talking about that parade of the burning of the cane. A lot of parade work, but there was also, but not in a macabre way, if that makes sense. Because technically, like you say, the carnival came from Lent, so it was a Lent festival, but it was only really when it in that they started celebrating it around summer, late summer, around now really, that they started celebrating it. But yeah, it's really, really, I wouldn't say it's complicated, but it's definitely complex. And if you look at a lot of kind of like Google searches, or if you do your own research, they will say, oh yeah, it's like, you know, it's coming from the Roman and the Greek traditions, and it was adopted by Italy, and then the French came in with their masquerade balls, and then etc. But I can agree that essentially it was a pagan festival that through the years, and when we say pagan, we're talking about pre-religion, so pagan as in Egyptian or Kemet, basically, that could be classed as pagan. But that's my understanding of it.
You cut out a bit there, as Angeli, just near the end of what you were saying. You said pagan, and then you cut out.
Oh, when I say pagan, I'm talking about pre-religion.
Yeah.
So ancient Egypt, or as we know the proper name to be ancient Kemet, could be classed as a paganistic era or a pagan. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So for me, I believe that's probably where it did or does come from, just in terms of roots and tracing it back. But yeah.
Okay, got a text in here. Says, where are we? Good evening. I agree with your comments, re the troops. I also think it's time we had a well-known headliner for each genre of music, especially as it's the 50th year of Carnival. You said it before I sent the text. It's time it was stepped up. Emo. What does that mean? That, oh, maybe a word that I missed on there. I thought you said Handel, not Andel. Sorry, no, I said Andel. Yeah, Andall. Yeah, check her out if you near your computer. Also, the real local talent should be included too.
Completely agree.
Yeah, I think that has been happening, hasn't it? Musically, in that sense of getting people.
Yeah, I was at a Powerhouse on Friday with Kaiso. So Kaiso was a youth group in Manchester that I'm sure most people know. That's run by Kimoy Walker, and they were practicing for their showcase that they're going to do on the day, and it was amazing. So I completely agree. Local talent and young local talent has to be at the forefront, and that kind of like goes hand in hand with what you're saying, because my understanding of the troops is it was intergenerational. There would be like the older, and then there'd be the youngers, and then the elders would teach the youngers about how to make the costumes, what reverence you needed to put into it. It wasn't just about slamming together a costume and looking colourful and winding up itself. There was a long process that came with it to making your costume to sit. Listen.
Yeah, so, and the Carnival Queen show and the Carnival Prince and Princess.
Love that. What happened?
You know, I remember my nephew would probably be embarrassed now because he's about 40 odd. You know?
Did he win
it? No, he didn't win, but he was a Carnival Prince, and he dressed up. As I'm talking now, I can see it. He was dressed up as a genie. Yeah, and I remember his mum Susan. She's passed now, but I remember her making the costume. You know, sewing it and everything. He looked amazing. It was at the 8411. I don't know if that was before you guys were born. Was it still around then?
Don't know what that is.
The
baby then, so I don't know.
Well, with the precinct, so the precinct was gone when you were young. Yeah, you don't remember the precinct.
No, I remember the precinct.
Yeah, I remember the precinct.
But just so the precinct, if you came in the precinct from the Abyssindi side.
I don't even know which side the Abyssindi side is.
It's here where this station is.
Oh, right, yeah.
On the other side. So if you went into the precinct from here into those doors, then on your it used to be the library at one time, but on your left that was called the 8411 Centre. So you used to have used to have some events taking place there, and that's where later on they held the Carnival Prince.
You know, the only shop that I remember in the precinct was the patty shop. It's the only one. Sorry, as you talk about.
And bars.
That's where my dad. Yeah, that's what my dad used to take me every Saturday. We'd end up in the patty shop. He used to sell all the ground food and stuff.
You went again.
I don't know why I'm cutting out. Don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you're there now. You're great. Oh, IMO means in my
opinion.
Sorry about that, guys. You got to kind of remember I'm old school in me. Yeah, not that. So anyway, thank you, because I consider that an education. It's a learning. Yeah. So so like you say, that whole galvanizing of involvement from those and the costumes. You know, they're absolutely phenomenal. For the most part, I remember the year when I think that same year when Blacker was there, and you had the troupe that came from because the troupe Leeds, I think it was as well, because they're just like Leeds Carnival, you know, just I think probably they're one of the back from London, one of the most consistent, aren't they? In that, so yeah, and like with the text that said about having a headliner for, because well, yeah, for each stage, yeah, how that works, I don't know.
I think so. From what I remember of Carnival, there was like a youth stage, and there was a few youth stages, but there were also big people music stage, and there was one main stage where the troupe used to go to and do all the dances once they come into the park, and then literally be there all day. But that's where the main kind of like performers would be on that stage. So maybe that's what the person means.
Wouldn't it be great if the stage was enormous? Like, for instance, you know, there was the size of the arena. Because you can never really see them, can you?
No.
You're in the arena and they walk around. You're there, you're fighting to get to the front, and people are like looking at you in a like, I want to see too kind of way. And yeah, it'd be great if you could see them. I don't know if that's a raised stage or a big screen, but that's
a big screen could probably work. That sounds a bit more. Yeah, a big screen would be good.
That sounds a bit more. Oh yeah. So yeah, no, I'd like the troops and stuff. So what with the tents? How do you see that? Because it's all. Is there anything that shouldn't be there?
I don't know. I can't say, to be honest. I think I went in 2019 was the last year I went. I can't remember. I think we were doing Community Guardians that year, but I know that I went, and there was a lot of youth tents, which was fine. But what I saw was a lot of young people just congregating, and just for me as a youth worker, it peaks different for me. I'm not saying people shouldn't and can't have a good time, but I think it didn't feel like good, clean fun, if that makes sense. Because I was there in the capacity as, you know, a community member, a community guardian, a youth worker. I was probably looking for all the things that could go wrong and kind of like looking out for all the safeguards for the young people, as opposed to looking to see how they could be having fun. But I just wasn't feeling all like, you know, the balloons and the canisters, you know what I mean? The drink and the weed smoke, you know, and that's just me. I'll be real. But yeah, that kind of really turned me off when I saw all of that, particularly with the young people. And just
taking place
babies
in the tents or out in the open.
Both, definitely. Yeah.
Well, how do you deal with that? Because in one sense, it's like, obviously there's families that are about, and the young people that are younger children that are seeing that, you know, and it's how do you make that known in that setting that it's just not happening. You get a lot of, I mean, you probably even get some elders that see that are not even elders, just older, and but you know, some of them are doing this in groups, or so they don't want to go and try and give them some friendly advice.
Yeah, I hear that. I think there's many ways that it could be looked at. Some people would say, you know, make them have them fun, it's only one day. Some people would say no, it should be. I guess there's a happy medium in there somewhere. But I just know that for me, the person that I am and the work that I do, it didn't sit well with me. But at the same time, I did see young people enjoying themselves, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There's definitely a difference between a festival and a carnival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. It felt like a festival. That's the word. It felt like a festival as opposed to a carnival, and there is a big difference.
Yeah.
I think there's like a bit of what's the word, debate amongst like the community, and like sticking to original carnival traditions or evolving it to what's more current. And I don't think there's necessarily a right answer, but it's just whatever people feel. So if we are swaying towards it being more towards a festival, those who want to hold on to the traditional way of the carnival aren't going to be happy. But the younger generation who aren't necessarily, might not be in touch with soca and the original origin of the carnival, aren't necessarily going to be happy if it moves.
Yeah.
There's everyone in it. It's just, you're stuck in the middle and people are just going to do whatever they feel is best.
Just looking at the difference. A carnival is a festive occasion marked by parades and sometimes special foods and other entertainment, whilst the festival is an event or community gathering, usually staged by the local community, which centers on a theme and sometimes on some unique aspect of the community. So the difference between a festival and a carnival is essentially a carnival will have a parade and special foods, whereas a festival can have anything, if that makes any type of food, and not necessarily.
Yeah. And I suppose it depends how creative you want to be to share what it is about, because if you get away from the traditions and what it stands for, can you then still call it a carnival?
Oh, well, some people could argue and say, well, if that's the case, we shouldn't have been calling it carnival for the past 10 years, 15 years, you know?
But based on that description that you just stated, Angel, if it's got the parade and we still have specialist Caribbean food, then it still falls under that description then, really.
It falls under that description, but I completely agree. But just in terms of Anthony's point, can you still call it carnival if it doesn't kind of like encompass all of the reasons why carnival happened in the first place? Is it about song, dance, costumes? Is it about celebrating freedom? Is it a protest? Remembering traditional? Is it about remembering traditional cultural practices?
Because if you wanna just do it and, like you say, update it, then just have a festival. Then, you know, don't and just do that. Yeah, but at least once a year, there's a tradition that stands for something that you've got an opportunity to pass on to another generation. Because as much as I know, for so many people and for so many young people as well, when you start talking to them about history, especially if they think all you're going to talk about is slavery, then it's sometimes something you don't want to hold in your head, because it just things like, oh, it's just horrible, it's just horrible, it's just horrible. But there's a lot of strength, there's a lot of knowledge, there's a lot of resilience, there's triumph that has come from that, and before that you have this opportunity to share. And even though I think you can have those other things, but there has to be a dominance of what it stands for. You know, I'm seeing even, you know, the troops when they go in, they might go into the ring, but if the tents are there, they go in and out of every tent that's in the place, like you're doing an enormous carnival conga, around the whole place. You know, there's ways, because they're in fun, they're going to jump on that. Do you know what I mean? And especially some of those costumes that some of these, sure enough of these guys will follow that trade. Do you know what I mean? So and that will be a memory, something that they take with them, something that that brings together, regardless of what tent you're in. For that 5 minutes or for that 10 minutes, everybody was in unison with something.
So based on what you've just described, do you feel that based on a 2-day carnival, those history lessons can be taught? Would it not be more proficient if like there was more workshops delivered in like the schools or colleges, example, teaching them like the traditions of carnival, and then it leads up to the actual celebration? Because I feel on the day of the celebration, people aren't really going to be in that education vibe of taking in the historical events.
But that's the process, isn't it? All of what you just said there is the year-long journey to 2022. So for the children, before the children would even start to even get involved with making costumes, they would need to learn what it's about, what's the history is.
The carnival program.
Yeah. So when they bring their ideas to the costume, they're bringing the history to it. When they are understanding the dance, they're bringing the history within the mind to.
But do we have something like? Do we have that in Manchester now? Is that an ambition to do something like that between now and next year's carnival? Because for me, that it's a no-brainer. But we also recognise that it's probably not going to be rolled out in schools anytime soon. They've just gone back to school after how long? The whole, you know what I'm saying, pandemic, call it. So that's not going to be at the front of the mind. Just that little piece of, oh, well, we've got to do, we need to focus on the curriculum and getting back to normal. So for me, I think it's incumbent on the community members to do that. Do you know what I mean? Even if it's a small group of 50 young people who work from March until the next carnival, putting something together and getting that legacy back in place.
Definitely. Listen, we're going to take a break. Got a few texts. I'll read them out when we come back. Remember, you can get involved online. We are on Facebook and on YouTube. Legacy 90.1 on Facebook and SEUK Global on YouTube. We'll be right back.
Feel the vibe on Legacy. On Saturday.
Yeah. So we've got 2 minutes there, guys. We're still live online. The last point that you made. So because I want to start back there when we kind of like come back. But yeah, that it is about how I think. I don't know, because a lot of it does come down to money, doesn't it? Sometimes, in the sense of, you know, being able to give to schools or whatever, so they can make the costumes and get involved. I don't know whether that was how it worked before, because somehow, I don't know. Was it about money before? Going back to the years when we did have the big floats, were the local government or whoever giving money to these troops, or was it that they'd gained that? Because obviously, again, like, there's a year now to get to this thing, so obviously it would depend on what whoever the carnival committee is or whatever, and whether they're going to just take the funding that comes from the local council, whether they're going to get sponsorship, whether they're going to do events throughout the year to get money to put towards it. And I think, there may be a lot of people that look forward to certain parts of the carnival. There's a lot of people who have maybe lost even interest in the carnival. So this gives so much time to galvanize and re-energize people who may have said, oh, it's not for me, can't do anything. When they see things happening and people getting involved and the grandchildren coming home, and I feel they've got a really great opportunity here.
So I agree.
Like you said before, this intergenerational thing is really also considered.
I also think it's to do with the fact that when carnivals
Legacy 90.1.
Yeah, welcome back. You are in tune to the Search Engine Meets T.A.P Talks with Angeli, Anthony, and Otis. At the moment, we are talking about the 2020 road to Carnival 2050 taking place in 2022. But we also have the festival taking place this Saturday at Alexander Park. I don't know the times in that, but
times are, it's 12 till 6 on some flyers and it's 1 till 7 on other flyers.
Okay.
So yeah.
But yeah, there is information on Legacy Facebook page, so you can go on there, and make your voice heard. And we'll definitely be doing, I think, a couple of shows before next year, 2022, with regard to the carnival. Invitation goes out there to any of the organisers to come on and have a discussion and let us know what the roadmap is.
We'll invite one of them onto our show, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be good to do that. So yeah, hold on. Do you want to say what you were saying before I cut you off about Angeli, and then I'll go to this text?
No, it's okay. I think I agree saying that the road to 50 years of Carnival, i.e. next year, we could be doing some amazing things in Manchester, but I do agree that a lot of the passion has been lost for it. And that's for many, many reasons. But I think one of the biggest drivers is to do with the fact that, you know, the community members who started it and drove it for a long time are no longer with us. And that's just the long and short. And yeah, it's about getting, like you say, re-energizing and galvanizing people again to live in the spirit of Carnival and really drive it forward amongst the younger generation. But as it stands in 2021, living in this capitalist world with everything going on, it's not at the forefront of people's minds. That's just,
I think a lot of it as well is to do with like the original people organizers of the carnival. They were first generation Windrush who came over here, so they were used to seeing it over there and wanted to bring these traditions over here. Whereas now we're like third, fourth, fifth generation of Caribbeans, and we don't have them strong ties to the Caribbean as the first generation. So it's not that ingrained within us, and they're probably more looking at it as like what they're more accustomed to over here with the festival. So that's why it's kind of evolving and losing its traditional
into a festival. I'd also say that I completely agree with what you're saying, Otis, and I think that as well, when you talk about the word festival, if you look at the kind of like the calendar for Manchester as it stands for City Council and the events and the money that they invest in certain events every single year, the money for Carnival has steadily gone down, decreased every single year. I think for a long time, a certain amount of money was just being pumped into Carnival year on, year out because it was Carnival. But I think as more festivals and events started to rear their heads in Manchester, so you've got like the Mela, you've got Pride Day, you've got Manchester Day, you've got Park Life, you've got all of these festivals that are coming in and one, competing, but also two, bringing in a hell of a lot of revenue for the city. And like you said, Anthony, it's about the bottom line. And I think City Council have just decided, you know, if we're going to continue investing, to have revenue for the city as well. And I think that's part of the reason why it's but then
when you look at okay, we'll go with the festival for Saturday, but for next year can't be coming off with no festival. It's got to be. If it's not going to be a carnival, don't call it a carnival. Don't call it a carnival, and don't even again look at the council and whatever, and even let them dictate what it should be. These are the other areas where, you know, again, it's about education, it's about understanding. It's another show that I'd like to do with you, and is looking at, say, for instance, finance, say local council finance, as to say their earnings in each area. So looking at health, education, blah blah, and how much money is actually being spent, what's it's being spent. Kind of budgets that, because I remember the time when we had this conversation around I think you was more doing something with oh gosh, what's that organization that you're involved in that are doing business? Burn, and they were talking about was it 1% or 2%?
Yeah, 1% of the annual budget.
Which the annual budget was what?
8 billion.
80 million.
8 billion. So 1% is 80 million. Yeah.
And the overall budget was what? How much did you say then?
8 billion.
8 billion, which comes into Manchester. Yeah. So it'd be good to have a discussion and break that kind of down into like an understanding, because there's money is spent in different ways, which some of us would just totally not understand. I remember going to a council meeting once, and there was a girl there who put a petition in for a Pelican Crossing to be put on a road, and the whole process from start to finish to get the Pelican Crossing there was going to cost £250,000.
What?
Yeah.
Scandalous.
Yeah.
Listen, it's sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I was having a conversation the other day, and around October, like me and Angeli get booked by a certain institution, which I won't name, but to deliver some workshops. But the budget for Black History Month compared to when they have Pride, for example, is just astronomically different. But yeah, if you was to do a ratio of like a survey of how much Black students they have compared to LGBTQ, the Black students would heavily outweigh it. So then how are they deciding what budget is being spent on which area? So that these things need to be addressed. Like, how are you deciding that?
Exactly, and these are the questions that need to be asked, to be put to people, and for people to answer.
I think that's such a good point. I didn't even think about that, Otis, and it probably is coming up, and we probably will get asked again this year.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that we respond back to them and say, if you want us to do this, then we want you to tell us how much budget you have for Black History Month, as opposed to what budget you have for Pride. And then it was a ratio breakdown of your, as you call it, Black students, because or BAME might not even have any figures for Black African diasporic students and figures for LGBTQI, to see the proportions of it. I think that's a really, really good point. And if we find that there's more spending on LGBTQI students when they're marginally less, then yeah, man, I'll be like, nah, I don't want to do it. You're going to have to put someone else out the bag. That's cheeky.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you agree? Yeah.
And just getting back to the what we were saying with regard to carnival and festivals and whether what's bringing in revenue or not bringing in revenue, you know, London Carnival brings in loads of revenue into London. Their parade is absolutely phenomenally brilliant. Yeah. So and like I would say the same to do with Leeds. Yeah. So it's not that it can't happen with a carnival if done, operated correctly. If people talk to each other, which sometimes we're not very good at doing, we try to reinvent the wheel sometimes when it doesn't need reinventing because other people have done a lot of the road work.
There was that incident last year as well, where there was an LGBTQ carnival event that was supposed to be on the same day when we were supposed to have the Manchester Carnival event, but then the police were saying something about the security. They couldn't provide enough security for both. Do you remember what it was, Angel? I can vaguely remember the point.
That sounds familiar. It's probably gone out of my head, the car boy. That's really nice.
Oh no, I'm getting mixed up with the Keames event. It was a Keames event, innit? Manchester. You've gone off here. Can't hear.
I'm still here. I'm saying I don't know.
Yeah. It was a Keames event. I was getting mixed up.
Yeah. But yeah, it's taking charge and saying it's going to happen, isn't it? But like I say, it's a year. Got a year to go. So let's hope that it gets. Got a few texts in, so let me get over to some of these. Yeah. Bam, bam, bam. Here we are. Hi. He says, hi, Tony. Well, maybe you know me, but if you don't, it's Anthony to you. Here we go. You can't have a Caribbean carnival without, what's he going to say?
Caribbeans.
No.
Soca.
No. One more.
Carnival.
No.
Correct. Steel pans.
Yes.
Steel pans.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't have a carnival without steel pans. A procession, soca, troops, and costumes. The children have no idea of the significance of carnival. Carnival is Caribbean street theatre and has always been. It's not a debate. Anything else is a festival. And again, yeah, going back again, there's so many schools. I don't know if this is a positive thing or a great thing, especially in so-called inner city areas and so-called black schools, that they have steel pans. Yeah.
I remember Mr. Yankee coming into my school teaching us in primary school.
Yeah, Mr. Yankee.
Yeah, Mr. Yankee.
Mr. Culpepper. Yeah. What's his name? Oh, what's his name? Cannot say them two names and not say his name. Peddy.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, I don't know if it's a good thing because you had the steel bands, because in a way it's a bit of a stereotype as well. Yeah. Because you're not seeing some of these schools, you're not seeing the violins, you're not seeing the trumpets and some of those more refined kind of cellos and more refined kind of instruments in some of these schools. And also on the other level, where we're dealing with steel bands, and this is another reason why Carnival needs to be what the backbone of what it is because of the what would I say, the kind of like arrogance of Europe in a way, but also the I don't know, there may be another word, but the lack of drive or the lack of pushing from those who play the steel band, those who love the steel band, because the steel pan in the West is not recognized as an instrument. Although they put it in the schools, it's not recognized as an instrument. You cannot go and do a qualification in learning the steel pan. Yeah, I think now there is certain qualifications because it's kind of been brought into school as an activity, so that when children learning, they can give them a certificate of learning of certain stages. Yeah, but it's not on the grander scale considered. You can't do a degree in steel pan, although steel pan has the full genre of most musical instruments, and over the years it's grown. Yeah, I remember a show that I did with can't remember his name, but he played the steel pan, and he told me that playing with they play with orchestras and stuff like that. That's amazing. And they do have a steel pan college in Trinidad.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, this is what I'm saying in the sense of reinventing the wheel. You know, if there's a college already in Trinidad, then you just get the same curriculum and bring it here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even if you go online now, we had our pan connoisseurs like Mr. Culpepper, you know, in the backyard. Peddy used to make the pans. You can't really find that many now. Like you said, we're losing them. That were the connoisseurs in, I mean, heart and soul creating pan.
You need to pass this knowledge down before the time comes.
But most of the pan now are being sculptured and done by Europeans, you know. Mm-hmm. If you go online and you kind of look. So I totally agree with you there. 544, you know, steel pan. It's a lot of hard work, and it's not. And again, even the some of them people who go into those schools and have been doing it for a long time they haven't got teacher status. Yeah, they're not classed as music teachers.
Mm-hmm.
With all the skill that they've got, others can't do it. The music teachers who've got the qualifications can't do it, but they haven't got that qualification, so they don't get paid at the same rate as a teacher. Now, but again, for me, it's whose fault is that? Do you know what I mean? Because if we don't value the skill, then how can we really expect other people to value that, or to we're looking to them to validate it, and we shouldn't think in that way, and we shouldn't have to do that.
To validate it ourselves.
Yeah. Exactly. And when you see, you know, have you ever gone online and looked at the Trinidad, because they've got the pan, what they call a pan yard. Yeah, and you see like 50 like tenor pan and how many bass drum all together, and they're all playing in sequence, and what? Because they have big challenges that's going on all around the world, you know. And again, like I'm saying, there's so much that can be learned and be offered in the sense of music, in the sense of history at the carnival. You know, Okay, let me go to some of these. Thanks for that text there at 544. Another one, the Prince and Princess show is the main lead up to Carnival. Agree with that. You kind of like feel sorry for them though, don't you? That there's only one prince and one princess. And that, you don't.
You know what though? But maybe we have to remember as well that we live in a society where gender is kind of being phased out. And I just leave it there.
So we shouldn't have a king and a queen.
I mean, I said not. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but again, this is again making your own stance, though, is it? Isn't
That's
it?
it.
So if that might be phased out somewhere else, but if the tradition is, yeah, we have a king, we have a queen, and for us, that's how we refer to each other. Yeah, one king, all right, queen.
But even in their system, they still have kings and queens. So
yeah, so
yeah.
But I hear what you're saying. It's our thing. Here we go. So thanks for that one as well. A celebration of Caribbean culture and tradition. That was the original concept which has sadly been lost. A sense of pride too. Okay, thanks for that. Everyone, sorry to go on a bit, but nearly every local school was taught steel pan playing, but I've not seen a local band play on 30 years. You can't celebrate 50 years of Manchester Carnival without the knowledge and respect for those who started it. Some are still alive and passionate about the origins. I totally, I'm on that, totally. And yeah, there's a good batch of guys and girls as well that are out there. I was out the other day because, you know, we've had all these things going on with people passing. So I've been going to a few wakes and things, and I went to a funeral the other day, and I met this brother that I knew from school. I can't remember his surname, but his name's Jeffrey. Yeah, and he plays steel pan. And I remember Jeffrey. I think he's about a couple of years younger than me. But when we was at Royce, he was like amazing. He was our lead steel pan player.
Is he a music teacher?
I don't know if he teaches. It. But he was amazing. It was really beautiful to see him. And as I seen him, I just could see him at the pan. You know, I went back over what he would be now. Gosh, going nearly 45 years. That and seeing him there playing the pan. But even me, I'm amazed at how it's grown. Like you say, they've got double tenors and, you know, all pans like that. There's not anything that you can't play, really. And it is definitely a skill. Here we go. Anthony, who is now involved with Carnival 50, and can we get them on to outline their vision and how we can help? And that's from Saba. Thank you, Saba. Long time. Peace and blessings, bro. Who's involved? Do you know who's involved? Who's the organizers?
Yeah, I don't know if they want to make themselves public yet, so I'll invite some of them onto the show, and then they can announce themselves and share their vision.
Yeah. I mean, it's great because I think it's really positive that they've taken this opportunity to actually put it out there and say it's a road to Carnival 2020. So yeah, I'd kind of like be surprised if you throw that out there and then you don't hear nothing until I don't know, until May 2022. That would be nice. That would be nice.
I'm confident in the organizers that they'll do a stellar job. So yeah.
Okay, we'll hold you accountable.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then, guys. That's kind of the discussion for now, really, to do with Carnival that we're going to be having. We'll be definitely touching that again in the future before 2022 comes, and we are going to try and invite some of the organizers on to discuss and chat and answer any questions that you have. What we want to move on to now is diet and food, and, you know, everybody needing to get healthy, but what's the best way to eat? How do you know what foods you should be eating or avoiding? I mean, do you understand what a vegetarian is? There's loads of them, isn't there? Vegetarian, pescatarian,
it's all titles.
vegan, plant-based, wheat-based, whole-based. So let's go. So what are you, Otis?
So I'm plant-based, but I think we should start with Angeli because it was a video that she posted. Now I'm happy to talk about this. Based on that video that you posted with
why are you
Jamie.
trying to put it on toes? Go on.
No, I'm happy to talk about it. I just wanted to ask you the question. Like, all right, I'll ask you a question. So based on that video, I'll add context. Yeah. So it's what's her name? Mills.
ZZ Mills.
Was it?
ZZ Mills.
Yeah, ZZ Mills. So you posted an extract of an interview with JME, and he's just talking about diets. So I've watched the whole interview prior to you posting the link. But what was it about that clip that made you want to talk about this discussion on the radio?
Well, honestly, we picked this subject matter before, and then I saw that clip and I thought, oh, that would be good for context and for people for us to watch, and that was it. Yeah.
So based on what you were saying, has it made you reflect on your own personal diet? Has it made you think about any changes you want to make?
I like my diet. I think my diet's great. I'm a meat reducing pescatarian.
I'm joking.
I'm a meat reducing pescatarian.
Yep. Say again.
I've never heard that one before.
Are you a pescatarian now? Did you say
meat reducing pescatarian?
Okay. Is that your own? Is that your own?
So I have chicken maybe once a week now, and the rest of the time it's either fish or just straight veg.
Okay, that's proper. That's proper.
Yeah, I've been doing that for a hot minute. So go back to business. I eat a 5 fruit salad every morning, and I have about 3 different veggies every day. And I've been eating fruit every morning since I can remember. That my dad really drilled into me, even when I didn't want to eat. Every morning he was like, "Get your fruit eating," and it's just become such a habit that not eating fruit in the morning is, antithesis. I couldn't not do it.
Yeah, I think as well, like a lot of us, when we focus on getting healthy, we specifically just focus on diet, but it can't just be diet as well. It was about exercising, mindfulness, meditating,
just like well-being in general, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I can talk for days about that. Oh yeah.
But yeah, so just to delve a bit deeper into what I was saying earlier about plant-based and veganism. So something that I've found along my journey. So my journey started in about 2007, 6 maybe, when I came across Dr. Sebi, and I was watching his content. It just resonated with me, and then I thought, right, let me stop eating red meat. But cut off the red meat. I wasn't ready for everything else yet. And then around 2014, I thought, right, I'm ready to start giving up chicken. So I gave up the chicken.
I had chicken wings.
Joker. So gave up chicken and slowly started weaning off bits of dairy, like changed the milk. I was still eating cheese a bit at the time, but slowly weaning off it. And then the day Dr. Sebi died, August the 6th, 2016, like as a dedication to him, I thought, right, I'm going to do it properly, and I went full plant-based, and I've not looked back since. But along my journey, what I've tend to found is like a lot of the black people who I know have gone plant-based, it tends to be for health reasons, and because they've come across like Dr. Sebi, and so they'll like look at other supplements like the sea moss, the spirulina, the moringa, etc. Whereas a lot of white people that I've come across who have become vegan, a lot of it tends to be based on their lifestyle, like the animal rights type of things. So then they're not heavily focused on replacing the other nutrients that might be lacking, and a lot of them, a lot of white people I know will have like a lot of soya within their diet, which isn't good for us as well, based on what I've come across. So those are like the differences.
Soya not good for you.
So from what I've come across, it was created by George Washington Carver as a plastic substitute. He was commissioned by the army to create a material as a substitute for world's plastic, and it's supposed to be like one of the #1 causes of cancer amongst vegetarians. So yeah, I try to stay well away from soya.
Oh wow.
Yeah, soy is not very good as well because it messes with the levels of the male and female hormones in the body as well. And particularly because of they say that just African diasporic people in general, our metabolisms, our cells, and the way we metabolize foodstuffs in general is slightly different to our other ethnic counterparts, if you want to call it. And for some reason, studies have been done to say that soy isn't very good at all for African diasporic people, but for anybody really. And like Otis said, it was a plastic substitute and it is grown in bulk and it's put into many, many different things. And I've been aware of the dangers of soy for a minute, but then I found myself still eating it. But now I'm like, yeah, can't do it no more. Can't do it no more.
I didn't know that. Not that I eat a lot of it, but I didn't know that. Got a question here. Hold on. Where is it? Where's it gone? Yeah, it says, is eating healthy expensive?
So I think it's you could ask, is eating a meat diet expensive? I think it's based on what you. How can I word this? So if you eat organic,
hold on a minute. Because I nearly just missed the thing there. I just got to pay a few bills, so back.
Okay.
Feel the vibe on Legacy. On Saturday, 4th of September in Alex.
Hold that about the expense.
Oh, okay.
Expense.
Hold tight, Daniel Davidson and his new organization. Is it Human Beings? Let me get the correct spelling.
Nice, Daniel. Yeah. I like it.
Oh yeah, I remember the title. Oh, what's it? It's human something, isn't it?
Human Beings.
Human Beings. Yeah, we spelled hume. Yeah, it's
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Definitely. Good to get him on as well to talk about that. Ooh. There he is, Daniel. It was Daniel who asked the question. Oh,
yeah.
Daniel. Oh, nice one. Didn't have my glasses on then, Dan, so I couldn't see that. So you've been on it for quite a long time then.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's gone quick though. But
you like to rub it in?
I do. No, I just like winding you up when we eat out, and then you're ordering all sorts of pork and. I'm joking. What did you get when we went to House of Habisha? You the only meat eater in it. What was it you got?
I had beef.
Yeah, that was it.
So that was the month of August. I had red meat once in August. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. That was your little treat. What did you get when we went Wagamama's?
I had salmon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, human beings. Yeah, man.
I love it.
That's massive. I love it, man. Yes. So you had the beef.
Yes, I had the beef. And what? Do you want beef?
I haven't been on it for that long. To me, I think about just nearly 2 years now that I've not been eating meat. I do eat fish.
Are you finding it?
I surprisingly, hold on.
Easy.
We are back. Welcome back, Aaron, to the search engine. This is Search Engine Meets T.A.P Talks. We've been talking about Carnival. We were going to touch on that again, so just stay tuned throughout the year. We'll talk on that. Currently talking about diet, plant-based, vegan, vegetarian. Before we went, we had a question which was asking about the expense. We are going to talk about that in a bit, but just answer. We're just talking about me and my pescatarian, isn't it? I still eat fish. Yeah, about 2 years, and surprisingly, well, I've done all right. I've done okay. There's sometimes I go into some shops that I went in before and I see the barbecue chicken wings and that. you know. But shake. Shake.
Give yourself a shake and walk back out.
But I'm not saying. But you know what? In my head, I'm saying that I won't. It won't be. I'm not saying that I won't eat meat because I know Jamaica's in my mind, and I know if I go there, I can't not eat. Well, I know there's loads of fish to think from, but
discipline, Anthony, man, discipline.
Like every time I go there, there's this place that I go to for my jerk chicken on my festivals, and it's jerk chicken is like, oh.
Just go on an ITAL diet, you'll be fine.
So sometimes I like, all right, then treat. No, I don't know if you treat. You won't be saying treat yourself, would you? You say, go on, then kill yourself. But yeah. So yeah, back to that question there. So how expensive is it to eat healthy?
It depends. So if you're going organic, it can be expensive if you're doing everything proper. But you can get cheap options as well. But I just wanted to read this quote that's always resonated with me and stuck in my head in regards to that question. So it's the Dalai Lama, when asked what surprised him most about humanity, answered, man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money, then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present, the result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die, and then dies having never really lived. But yeah, that quote always sticks in my head. Like when I think about, like, you can't put a price on health, innit? Like,
yeah, you're right. You're so right. Actually, just come back to that. But Daniel said, our first project is work into work. I need yous involved.
Yeah. Shout outs, Dan. Daniel, when you're ready.
You know, you just have to say the word, bro, for you. So yeah, it's definitely obviously health, but this again comes back to the starting, isn't it? The okay, anybody can start at any point, and obviously you're fighting again with the system in that way, because GPs and doctors, they're more about your symptoms, aren't they? They're not dealing with
again. I'd like, so you have to question the like what's driving them to, how can I word this? So for example, with the medical industry, it's not designed for you to, it's designed to prolong death, not restore health. So they want you dependent on them to make money. So they're not going to want you to know that you can heal yourself from natural foods. They're going to want you stuck on their medication for them to continue making money. So when you're going to them with these illnesses or whatever it is that you're trying to seek answers for, they're always going to revert you to the path that's designed for that industry to make money. So I'm not necessarily placing it on the individuals, the doctors. I'm not saying they're evil people, but the way how the whole system is designed, whether they're good people or bad people, it's designed for that industry to make money. So they're always going to direct you down that path rather than direct you down the path that's free.
It's the medical model, isn't it? It's something that I've always spoken about. I completely agree. And the medical model is about, it's not about, even though they've got the Hippocratic Oath, which really is the Imhotep Oath, where it is to do no harm. It's not about prolonging life. You are quite correct. Completely agree. So I was just having a conversation with a very close friend who's been diagnosed with cancer, and her response to it has just been, her diet had already changed anyway, but on the diagnosis, she's totally changed the diet, and already she's starting to see positives in terms of her health and how she's responding. And you know, even the doctors are baffed now in terms of how she's presenting, based upon how she presented when she was first diagnosed. And it's all to do with diet, but it's also to do with mindset, because when we talk about diet, it's not just about what we ingest in terms of food. It's about what we ingest, what we see, what we hear, what we ingest spiritually, emotionally, all of those things. Our diet's really, really important. So yeah, just put that one in.
But it is that, you know, people who really do believe in their GP, and especially when certain medication. I was talking to a friend yesterday who quite bad mental health he has. It's quite sad. He was telling me he'd been put in a Liverpool or something, and he'd been given this medication that he didn't want. And he was actually said he was forced to take this medication, which I think he said he had to. I can't remember the amount that he said he starts on, but it's something like over time you have to take so much and so much and so much and so much before it builds up in your system, and then once it's built up, it would take forever or a real drastic set thing for it to get rid of it. You can't just say I'm going to come off it when you come to a point of all right, then I feel strong within myself.
Yeah. That's another thing. I think when it comes to poor mental health, because a lot of the time we say mental health and think and immediately, oh my God, somebody's got a mental health condition, but everybody's got mental health, haven't they? But when we talk about poor mental health as opposed to good mental health, then a lot of it is to do with diet in terms of what we eat. Because when we talk about some of the things that we eat, that affects our hormones, that affect our, when they talk about like the endocrine system, and when they talk about the pineal gland and all of the other things that affects those systems in our body that keep that equilibrium, diet is really, really important. So yeah, I completely get that.
Definitely. Get some Texas in there.
Spanish.
I think there's Spanish or something. Helena can't speak Spanish. I hope I'm putting and you're not cussing us off.
I think she's saying,
go on,
like I can read Spanish.
Go on, sis.
Something to do with nighttime, something to do with good. I think I'll leave it there. Helena, if you could write it in English, that would be great.
Let me try it with this one then. I know something about Brazil.
No clue.
Okay.
I want to learn Spanish as well, so I feel so peaked. But yeah.
Portuguese. Just message Portuguese.
So is it Portuguese?
So she can speak English. All right.
Oh, it's Portuguese.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you.
Got another text here. Is our food we traditionally eat as Africans and Caribbeans suitable for the lifestyles we have today?
Nope.
No, and I think that's two different diets, and like the differences between Africans and Caribbeans. Like the whole Caribbean diet, I just feel is just like slavery scraps. So if you look at some of the things we're eating, like the pig's ribs, cow foot, like why would you choose? Why would you choose to eat those things? That's like the scraps, like whatever's left after masses eating this stuff. So, it's not for us. But I don't know what else to answer.
I think the African diet, well, it's kind of big in it. It's kind of like a statement. But
which tribe in Africa?
But I think what you're saying is the African diet is usually comprised of hard food, ground food, fresh food, things that you can forage, things from the trees, etc., etc. And I think that type of heavy carb rich food that can keep you going for a long time, probably conducive to the environments that African people live in, where it's hot, where they might sweat a lot, where they need a lot of endurance, all of those things. But over here in Europe, where we don't necessarily need that, those types of foods don't help us.
I feel like when I'm in a hot country and I'm on holiday, I don't really eat as much. Like one meal is like enough really for me. Well, I mainly have 1 or 2 meals over here now anyway, but one meal is like enough, and like fruits and stuff, and I'm okay for the day, to be honest.
When I'm abroad, and I eat like crazy, especially when I'm in yard.
You just want to overindulge because when you come back, you're gonna miss the food, isn't it? That's what.
I don't know, but I just eat. I get up and it's breakfast, so you're having your big and you know the planting over there is that planting. You know what I mean? Your saltfish, your ackee. The ackee is ackee. It's ackee. You don't know food, Jamaican food. I didn't know. I did when I was young. I did not eat Jamaican food. Yeah, yam, sweet potato, banana, boiled plantain, fried plantain. I did boiled plantain. Didn't eat none of it. Breadfruit, none of that until I went to Jamaica. And when I went to Jamaica, that did not taste like the food that I was.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah, it's next level, isn't it?
Yeah, and
not been tampered with.
And cooked on a fire outside, no stove in no kitchen. It was amazing. First time I had breadfruit with saltfish and that.
Yes, you better stop it. Anyway, I was about to start going in. And I'm cutting breadfruit and them just put it on it, and I'm making roast by the fire and wow. Stop it.
Exactly. But I just eat. And then like you go into the town and everywhere there's food places and they're so inventive. You've got so much choice. And like you say, the fruits, it's like, oh.
Yeah. When I was in St. Kitts, when I stayed there, when my nana lived there, she had a mango tree in the back garden, and I just got carried away with the mangoes every day. I was having about 5-6 mangoes a day. It was ridiculous.
That's too much. That is too much.
Like, it changed the color of me. You know, when I was on the toilet, it changed the color of what? I don't want to go too detail.
Your urine.
No, number 2. Changed the color of my number 2.
Right.
It turned green.
Wow, that's a bit much. That let's just leave it there.
So just go on. Sorry, go on, Angeli.
I was just going to say, if anybody has got Instagram, or if anybody has got, I think it's mainly Instagram, but if you can, there is a guy called Chaka Bars, who is originally from these sides. Is it from Sheffield? He's from the north anyway. And I think he's living on the continent now. And he put up a post just a few days ago talking about how he's managed to keep and enhance his physique, eating strictly fruits and vegetables and using his own body weight, if that makes sense, to keep his physique and his cut and his rips, you know. But what I'm saying is, Chaka Bars, it's spelled CHAKABARS. So Chaka as can as BARS, all one word. But his page is so inspirational because he always puts up different fruits in particular from all around the world, and he'll show you how to eat it, and it's just beautiful. He's such an inspiration, and he follows Dr. Sebi as well. And he puts up loads of videos and stuff, and I just think his journey is just really inspirational.
So yeah, I just want to give a shout out to him. I've not used the service yet, but something called Tropic Fruits MCR for Manchester. So they do like a tropical fruit weekly delivery box of loads of exotic fruits that you can't really get over here. And then they do a small box for 25, medium box 45, and a large box for 65. But yeah, if you check out the Instagram page, you can see like the different types of fruits that they get.
So what is it? TROPI fruits, one word?
Yeah, MCR at the end.
That's actually you adapt to your environment, and we go to restaurants and eat different foods. Yeah, we do that.
I wanted to answer Daniel's question. Yeah.
So much food at supermarkets and takeaways. Do we really need to grow food again? It seems such a long process. What's your thoughts?
My thoughts are, so when we do values exercises, my number one value is freedom. So freedom can be perceived in many different ways, but for me, I want total freedom of being in control of everything. So for me, if I'm not in control of the fruit and veg supply, and like we've seen when the shelves have gone bare and we're under pressure and we've not got what we want, we're not in control of that. So I'd like to learn how to be in control of that and want my community to be in control and have the knowledge of how to grow their own foods and supply ourselves, so we're truly not reliant on anyone else and we can become fully independent in any situation. So yeah, that's my take on it. It is long and tedious. It's not something I personally want to learn and grow and learn how to grow the different foods and that, but I think it's important.
Yeah, I suppose it is.
But
once you start, but the thing is, once you start, you started, aren't you? So that's the maybe the longest part, getting to that growth, and then going from there. But I definitely think we should be doing that.
Yeah, I've also sorry, I'm cutting you off.
No, it says definitely. I mean, for me, every time, I was on the phone a couple of months ago with one of my uncles in Jamaica, with my dad, talking about some land over there and just getting a piece to do some different growing, in a sense, to when we go over there, or we bring children over there, or even doing a little growing academy where we can support something for the younger people over there to actually get into farming. There's a young man that I met over there, when I went over there, this youth, because don't let me generalize, actually, let me just talk about this youth. But he was just walking down the road, and I was with my cousin, and my cousin said to me, "See that youth there? He means a good youth, he means a working youth." And I was about 18, he was. The guy, he was at college, he worked with his uncle doing furniture. He had goats, he had chickens, he had pigs, and he had rabbits. Yeah, really, like the kind of youths that you want to get involved with. And I remember I was talking to him, and all his goats got killed by dogs and stuff. He bought one goat, but he was able to rear them until he had 10. But he didn't have the right fencing, enough money to do the fencing and stuff. But they got killed.
Oh no!
It was just great to see that the aspiration that he had in the love, and when he talks to some of them farmers, because even my dad was a farmer, and when I talk to him, his conversation, he talks by way of animals and nature. So if he's describing something or saying something, always related animals or nature.
That's how I love that, because that's essentially how they say African indigenous people kind of like describe, or I can't even think of the word, how they see life, if that makes sense. So they recognize nature will teach them everything they need about life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily about responding. It's not about relying on this. It's about relying on that and this and nature. And it goes hand in hand to there's something called the African personality that we've spoken about before on the show. And lastly, I was going to say, I was at my brother's allotment on Saturday, and listen, I got callaloo, I got sweet corn, I got pear, I got apple, I got red cabbage. Where's me get? I got so much. I was like, okay, you can really eat good. So yeah, I love it. I've got a lot of little farm community.
And just quickly on the foods and the base and stuff, because again, there is a bit, you can easily get confused with some of those, especially when you've got people making up their own kind of brands, like what was it, reducing meat pescatarians, well, you've got like plant-based, but you've got plant-based meats, haven't you? Like what can you call them that? Are they meat if they're plant?
No, but one thing I will say is try that Beyond Meat burger. That's all I'm saying, Otis.
No, I've had it. You know what it is with these meat substitutes? I think it's more for people who are transitioning towards a plant-based diet. So it's a good alternative and something to wean you off if you're used to certain things.
Yeah, that's
you
true.
can try these and you won't really notice much of a difference.
I get a lot of food from Granny's Fingers, and she makes the last week I had sweet chili cauliflower bites, which basically was just like it felt like he was eating chicken. Cauliflower. It was so good. Then I got saltfish fritters, but it didn't have fish in it. It was a different. Do you know what I mean? So everything was substituted. Her food is amazing, by the way, people. Granny's Fingers. Hit her up on Facebook or WhatsApp.
But sometimes I think that is the problem. It's what to substitute what you normally have with, and if you know, if you've seen menus and there was set, well, there are certain set menus you can easily get, but I think that's the main thing. And if you explain to people, you know, say if you would have chicken, rice, blah blah blah, replace the chicken with this and replace that with that and replace that with that.
You know what it is as well? I think especially as like African diaspora Caribbean people, we like, well, I'm generalizing, but we tend to like our food seasoned. So if you wouldn't have, would you have chicken if it wasn't seasoned?
No.
Right. So the point is, if you can find something that's got that seasoning and a similar texture, you're not going to miss it. Like
That's true. That's true.
It's not the meat that you're yearning for. It's the whole combination.
The seasoning. Yeah. I would agree with that, because you introduced me to the jackfruit burger on Wednesdays at Alma store.
Yeah.
Listen, that's better than a chicken burger. I'm telling you.
I've never had that.
Amazing. Alma store.
Heard about it.
Polygon Street, Ardwick, run by a man like Raf. They do jackfruit burgers on a Wednesday from 12. You have to get there early because they get sold out.
Wow.
And they do the cauliflower ones on a Saturday as well.
Is it? I'm gonna have to try the cauliflower ones.
I prefer the cauliflower one to the jackfruit, to be fair.
Really? Right, we're gonna try that then. Okay.
Okay. Got a few texts here. Then we're gonna be moving on to our segment of the Bob.
You like Bob, innit?
Your favorite part.
It comes up with something, doesn't it? Bring something out. Well, here we go. Got a question here. Let's take this one first. 863. It's been proven the African diet is the correct for black people who reside in the West. They did some research on the black American diet and the African diet when they gave the black Africans foods. The health of the black Africans deteriorated drastically, but when they gave the black Americans a black African diet, the black Africans' health improved tenfold.
Okay.
I believe that.
Thank you very much. 863. Interesting.
And what answered Daniel's question?
Hold on, because the thing that let me say, blah, 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 blah. And that's it is interesting, because remember, you know, with people in the Caribbean and their high blood pressure, diabetes, and things like that, which was very much down to the diet that they were given, so much high salt and stuff like that. They did find that, I don't know if it was to do with cancer, but they found that there were certain drugs that would work on Africans that would not work on people in the Caribbean due to the diet, that it actually changed their whole system, hadn't it?
Yeah. Another thing that I'd say before you go, what you were going to say, Otis, is that there were studies as well on Chinese women. And in China, they don't eat, in certain parts of China anyway, they don't eat a lot of dairy products or certain products. And what they found was that when these Chinese women came over to the West and changed their diet, incidences of breast cancers rose quite markedly. But in comparison to the same, if you want to call it subset or data set, in terms of age, et cetera, of Chinese women back in China, it was non-existent. So I always remember hearing that fact and thinking, what you eat and where you live makes a massive, massive difference. Look into that study as well.
Most definitely. And this just raises so many issues as to when you can start, actually, not just with the diet, but just in teaching the knowledge of self and self-healing and the importance of self to young people. I think the only first time you actually even get to start knowing your body in school is when they start singing that song about your toe bones connected to your ankle bone and them kind of things. You know what I mean? But you could go deeper than that, you know, with much easier. Here we go. Anyway, how do we motivate people to stay fit and healthy? That's been told by the government to stay in and eat, drink in order to save lives for over a year. Eat.
Listen, you are coming with the smoke tonight.
Live out to eat. What's it? Eat out to whatever.
Yeah.
You're right. Done that.
So there's a couple of things I can answer this. So firstly, so I'm one of the founding one of the co-founders of an organization called Ground to Mouth with my sister Karina, and another lady called Marva is involved. Let me just promote Marva's allotment session. So from every Saturday from the 18th of September to the 9th of October, from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. or 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. You can come to our allotment and learn to grow food, and that's at Ryder Brow Allotment, Community Plot 31, Far Lane, Gorton, Manchester, M18 7FF. If you've missed the details and you need them, just hit up T.A.P and we'll send you the information. So that's an outlet for you to learn to grow. So the purpose of this organization, Ground to Mouth, is to facilitate workshops teaching young people the importance of healthy living.
Sorry. Is that on your website?
There is a website, so it's groundtomouthcic.org. Okay. So it's a new website, a new organization.
What we'll do, we can tweet it and we can put it on. I think we should put it on our Instagram. We put it on Facebook as well, so people can follow it.
Yeah. So I'll just detail the cycle of it. So we deliver and facilitate workshops raising awareness of the importance of healthy living and healthy eating. We also provide training, which Marva can deliver in regards to teaching you how to grow your own foods and maintain an allotment space. We also provide a service where we can come to your home and convert your garden into a growing space and teach you how to maintain and continue growing food. We can also offer an additional business side to where you can provide the food that you grow in your garden to our weekly VegBox delivery, which you can also, so you'll obviously get paid. So it's a side business. And then any surplus food we will donate to the Keep It Real food bank, and that will just be given out to the community in need rather than it going to waste. So we've created an ecosystem and cycle from ground to mouth, teaching the importance. So yeah, and just to add to Daniel's question as well of what can motivate people, it's been estimated that the agriculture business in Africa by 2030 will be a $1 trillion business. So if you're motivated by money, that's more than enough of an incentive to get your skin back to Africa and start growing your food. So as soon as I heard that, I've made my investments. I've got 10 hectares of land in Zambia, which are farms being developed on, and an acre of land in Tanzania, which are also developing a farm on. So don't need to tell me twice.
That's another show.
That's amazing, Otis. And just to cut you, I always say you have put that in place for yourself, but for those people who can't do that, I think what he's saying, what's the motivation for people in the UK will be told to, etc., what are they doing on a day-to-day basis to be motivated to stay healthy if they cannot get their skin back to Africa, or if they will not get their skin back to Africa? And I think that's the point.
And we'll be right back.
Oh, well, okay. I thought I answered it with ground to mouth, but yeah.
On legacy.
Not everybody will want to go with ground to mouth. That's what I'm saying. We have to give people options. You know, we have to give people options, because some people may get inspired by ground to mouth and think, "Oh, I could do something myself," or it doesn't. You see what I'm saying? I think that there has to be enough options for people to pick and choose what will work for them to motivate them to stay healthy, as opposed to one option or two options. Do you see what I'm saying? Because everybody's different, and everybody's got different motivations and different pressures, etc., and different money income streams as well.
Yeah, definitely a whole learning curve for a lot of. But it's all about, I suppose, each one teach one.
So I want to ask Daniel, are you doing a podcast on it then about healthy living? Because I know you've got your new podcast space, which will be guests at some point. So yeah, that's a good topic of conversation. Good to bring on some health.
Sorry, Helena doesn't understand English. How can we tell her that we're talking about? Let me get the translation for healthy diets.
Healthy diets and healthy eating and that. But yeah, so it'd be good to, I mean, I had something here which was talking about, quickly while we're doing the adverts, I'll be able to read out a couple of possible menus. I'll start with Monday. Monday, you could have a breakfast, and you can see if you could agree with this, Otis, of oatmeal made with coconut milk, topped with berries, coconut and walnuts. Lunch, large salad topped with fresh vegetables, chickpeas, avocado, pumpkin seeds, and goat cheese. Dinner, butter squash curry. Tuesday, full fat plain yogurt topped with sliced strawberries, unsweetened coconut, and pumpkin seeds. And dinner, sweet potato and black bean tacos. Doesn't sound like you.
It's not mine, but yeah. Everyone eat what works for them, innit?
Most definitely. Okay, we're coming back.
Legacy 90.1.
Okay, welcome back, Anthony, to the search engine. This is Search Engine Meets T.A.P Talks. We literally got 10 minutes to go before we want to go. So probably be able to just take a quick question from our Bob in the UK. Who's got it? Have you got it, Angeli?
Yeah, let me get it.
Okay, so
We did forget.
So Angie's going to go and get us the question. And Bob in the UK is a dating game. We did do a show. You know that show? That wasn't the Black to the Future show that we did, was it? No, it wasn't. It was a particular Bob show. Because one of the shows that we did, I put it on YouTube and they've taken it down. I don't know why. Still. So we do this Bob. So if you put Bob in UK, you can see this game. It's a discussion game with cards that enables you to talk about issues. There it is, Bob in the UK, and it's a good discussion, very, very good discussion show. Just quickly take this other text that's just quickly come in. It's just black people who get affected. The Western diet, big Western food companies have gone into indigenous people's countries and changed their traditional foods and gave them Western foods. Over a period of time, the indigenous people's health has deteriorated tenfold. What's good for the shark is not always good for the dog. So wait, who's the dog you're talking about there, yo? Okay, so let's go with this question with the 10 minutes. Thanks for that anyway, 8662. But don't see yourself as a dog. You're better than a dog. Okay. What have we got there, Angeli? We've got a question coming.
Wow, there's some good ones. I'm gonna pick out 5 and then I'm gonna ask you to
You know we ain't gonna have time for 5.
No, I'm gonna pick out 5 and then I'll ask you to pick a number between 1 and 5.
This is also for you, listeners. If you've got your comments on what the question is asking, please, in the last moments that we do have.
Okay, so between 1 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Go on, I'll let you prevail. So go on, Otis.
All right, we'll go with 2.
It's how do you finish the sentence? Black love is.
Ooh, you want to go first, Ant?
Black love is loving yourself.
That's it.
Yeah, that's one. I could go on. Black love is loving yourself.
Black love is understanding.
Black love is healing yourself.
Ooh. Yeah.
Patience.
I'd say black love is just love. But I'd say black love is healing trauma and being patient with yourself, to love yourself, to get to a point. Healing, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, sorry, go on.
No, that's it.
Yeah, because with love, because I think I've said it a few times. I look at that word because many times I was quite not happy with that word because I didn't really understand what it meant because it was so really used. I was always kind of like really reluctant to kind of like use it. Yeah, but I turn it around and it spells evil. Yeah, and for me that's the beginning of evolution, growth. Yeah, so love is supposed to help you to grow. So if somebody's saying, because I've worked with probably yourself, people who are abusing people, men who are abusing women, and then, once they've duffed them up and made them whatever, or cleaning them up and telling them that they love them, but where's the growth in that? Where's the growth for the woman in that? Yeah. So for me, love is supposed to, help you to grow in a situation.
We got answer from Daniel.
Yeah, and saying black love is unique. Everyone there, it's at www.humanbeings.org. Got a project on Black health and well-being, so this talk is perfect.
Amazing. Thank you.
Well, yeah, and you're very welcome anytime, Daniel. You just let me know the dates if you want to get on here, and that's fine. Or
all right.
On the
do you want to pick a second number? 1, 3, 4, or 5?
3.
Ooh, this is contentious.
Dun, dun, dun.
Have you ever wished you were of another race? That's if you believe in race.
Well, yeah. Well, I didn't know what a race was, but I do remember when I was younger. I don't know if I wished for another race, but I remember, like, I had a perm. Yeah, I had a perm, right? So that says it. Yeah, that says it. Well, that was before I knew anything about myself and my history. Yeah, I had a perm. Yeah.
Otis?
I used to shake it. Yeah.
I can honestly say no. I've never been in that situation where I felt like that. Yeah, no.
Is that Nakai in the background?
Yeah, I don't want to go to bed.
Having a meltdown.
Yeah.
If I was to answer it, probably when I was younger, I probably wished I was a different color because I didn't know the difference. I didn't know what race was. It's only when I got older and I studied it that I recognized the social constructs that it is. But I think, thank you, Helena. Goodbye.
Yeah.
It was only when I got younger.
Say goodbye in Portuguese.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. We haven't got loads of time for that. Sorry.
Yeah, it was only when I was younger. Yeah, I think, you saw the way in which somebody with your melanin content was treated as opposed to somebody without your melanin content. And sometimes you would, particularly as a young Black girl, think to myself, yeah, I wish I was different, a different race, different color. But now, as I'm older, a grown woman, not at all.
Yeah, and it does for so much, because I know, even people who probably openly wouldn't say it, but you could kind of like tell by their actions that and their attitude that they weren't happy with the shade they were. Because again, we talk about racism, right? And I don't really want to harp on that because I think that word has been turned into something else from what it originally stood for. Yeah. But then when you go to prejudice, ignorance, training within our own families, the shadism, yeah, the darker child within the family,
that's treated.
Those names that we call each other, yeah, and then you see some of those that do then grow up, and it's like I don't even know if they think about it, or it's like if they're having a child, they think I don't want my child to go through what I went through, so they unconsciously or in some way look for a lighter to be with. But saying that, I have actually seen the opposite, where somebody was the lightest person in that family and they actually went for a darker
person. So there's many reasons, and I think this is a really cool card to end on.
Hold on. We've got Daniel's here. It says, when I was 7, life looked good for my white friends.
Yeah, exactly. You've put it much better than me, Daniel. That's what it was. You put it much better than me. When I say end on, I mean not on the show, just end the segment, because I know we're close to the end. But what I was going to say is I run a Instagram channel called Speak Your Youth Truth _MCR. And every week we do Black History Talk Q&A sessions with Black History Inspires. And we're having a 2-week break at the minute, but we're coming back on the 6th of September, and we're going to be talking about colorism. And I do know that Black History Inspires, or Linford Sweeney, the Black historian in Manchester and Caribbean genealogist, is going to be running some free workshops on during Black History Month around colorism and other things. And I think it's really, really important that we talk about it and just break down the myths and just get rid of it, because it's not helpful for anybody.
No, not at all. And then especially, you know, we know the issues of people who have gone to the drastic measures of bleaching their skin.
Exactly.
You know, to the extent where we know that there's certain creams that are available in the Caribbean and available in Africa that that are illegal to be sold in Western countries. You know, and this again, you know, people will argue with you, but it does go to that mindset of the unconscious that's been put in your mind as to you know, whether you can get a job if you're. I remember once there was a show, and I actually phoned up. It was on the Right Stuff, and they were talking about black people not being able to get work because of the shade of their skin. And I called up, and I think initially he thought I was a bit crazy, because I kind of like related some of these issues subliminally to such a things like sugar, bread, in the sense that sugar being made white, bread being made white, but they're actually better for you when they're brown. So why would you do that to those products if it wasn't to instill the white is right motto in your head and in your eyes? Yeah. And if you see, I don't know, have I sent it to you? Actually send it to you. You can see his face when I said it, because
Yes, please.
Initially he's like, no, and then I say that and he's like, what do you mean?
What?
Kind of thing. But then he gets it. It's only like about 30 seconds, something like that.
Yeah, send it.
But you know, it kind of like shows how. But I think with him and the surprise, it was just like, wow, I've never even thought of it like that. But it does make sense. Listen, guys, wow, listen, it's great. Great to be back. Great. I haven't been on. I think our last show was the one that we had online, so I haven't been back since then. So really enjoyed today. Thank you, all listeners. And
can I make a couple of announcements, Anthony?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so it might have been on the last show or the one before, but we was talking about something called Sunday dinners that we wanted to bring. So we've been successful with our funding application, and we will be launching Sunday dinners on the first Sunday of every month from October, hopefully, if the funds clear in our account by then. But stay posted on the TAP pages for more information.
What does that mean? What is Sunday dinners?
So we was discussing on the show like that we don't have that same connection as we once did with our grandparents, where everyone would go around see grandparents on Sunday afternoon and everyone would connect and vibe. So what we're looking to do is recreate that vibe, where we'll hire out a place, provide free food for the community, everyone just come and vibes, bounce the castle and whatnot, and we'll even introduce Bob and ask questions and just create some thought-provoking conversations and dialogue amongst our community, and look at how we can reconnect and reunite amongst ourselves. So yeah, hopefully we'll start that from the first Sunday in October. And also TAP Projects are working with Keep It Real 24/7 CIC, and we'll be launching the Black Pound Day market stalls in conjunction with Black Pound Day. So that will be the first Saturday of every month starting from October, and that will be at HQ. So if you're interested in having a stall and selling your products, again, get in touch with us and we'll discuss with you what steps you need to take to go through the process. So yeah, a couple of things in the pipeline starting from next month that TAP have got going on.
That's fantastic. I like the sound of that most definitely. And it's great, you know, to just see you continuing in the vein that he's started and doing what he's said that he's going to do, and linking up with these different organizations within the community. I really think it's an absolutely fantastic example for you to be setting in, and it just seems so much like you're just doing it in your stride. It's not as if you're even thinking about I need to do this. You're just doing what you're doing, and that's what's beautiful about it. So continued blessings to,
and thanks Daniel for the comment. Great show. See you next time.
Yeah, man.
Thanks everyone.
Missed that.
Good locking in.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Definitely. Okay, guys, that's it for this week. Remember, I'm here again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. till 11. I'll probably be a bit more better behaved in the daytime. We're going to be discussing the series of shows. It's called Let's Talk on Legacy, where they're going to be discussing things like about the pandemic in the sense of how we've been affected the how it's been widened since COVID. So I'm going to start talking. I'm going to have a guest on. So we're going to be talking initially about past inequalities, so you can like get an idea of how things were, and so you'll have a greater understanding of how wide they possibly have become with the advent of COVID. I think it kind of like will give you a good insight. So get involved. You can text in and that 9 o'clock. So I'll be getting to bed early. So yeah. Okay then, guys. You take care. And speak to you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Okay then, guys. That's it from me here on the search engine for another week. We're back next week. Next week it's gonna be 10 p.m. until 12. But like as I said, you can catch me here tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. till 11, or doing the Let's Talk show. Yeah. So hopefully see you then, maybe. Okay. Take care. See you. Bye.